Welcome back to the Grim Workshop. Today I'm going to show you how I make my paracord fishing jigs. So the paracord fishing jig has been around for ages. This is in all of the old school survival manuals. The way I do mine is a little bit different. You can tie them on and it works really well using the inner strands of paracord. But if you don't want to tie it, you can heat it up enough and just melt the exterior of the jacketing, and that kind of forms a head on the jig. Paracord is something that should be in all your survival kits anyway. I carry a standard ridge line like this, and most of the time if I have just a piece of utility cordage like this, it's in an earth tone. I really kind of want to blend in as much as possible most of the time. So it's a good idea also to mix it up and carry some high-vis cord. High-vis cordage I carry in short lengths, and that's something I'll use for a tool, a lanyard. That way if I set it down, I'm less likely to lose it. It's also really good for marking a trail. And in an emergency, this is my preference for making a fishing jig. Fishing hooks are on quite a few of the survival cards. Most of the signature cards have hooks. And I kind of want to move on from just baiting the hook and using an improvised bobber and making a cane pole. I'm always going to go back to that if I'm not catching fish, but I want to have other methods available. So this style hook right here actually is a jig head hook, and that would work really well for this. Most of the time you're going to just be dealing with a standard shank hook. So this is a brand new hook card, but this one's been carried before, so yours probably is not going to look like this. I've got sand all over mine from my Florida Keys kayaking trip. So all of these cards, if you're unfamiliar with these, the tools all come off. The first time you take them off, there's a little tab that you have to break through. And then when I'm done with it, I can peel my paracord off, stick it right back in, and it's ready till next time. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut a section of paracord. You're going to want to roughly double the length of your hook. You're going to end up trimming a little bit of that, but you don't want to cut it too short. You're going to want the body of the paracord to cover up the shank of the hook, and you want the tail to be at least the distance of this hook gap. So from the point of the hook to the body of the hook shank itself is about average. Make it a little bit longer, that way you can trim it back to whatever looks good for you. If your paracord is sealed up like this, you're going to want to cut that off first. And then go ahead and cut your length. I'm going to go almost double the length of the hook. That's going to be more than I need, but I'm good with that. I can trim it back later. So I'm going to pull some of these inner strands up a little bit. So you can leave these inner strands out of the jig like that example, or you can include them. So I'm going to include them in this second one here just to show you how this works. So I'm going to pull these out a little bit, and this is where the hook's going to thread in. So this is actually going to be the head. This is going to be the tail. So I'm going to take this and just fray this out a little bit. I'm going to use my knife and just open it up. So I've got this tail frayed out a little bit. Now I'm going to try to leave these strands sticking out of the head. And I'm just going to work this through. And this is going to be, just like you're trying to get a worm on a hook. I'm just trying to make the hook pop out towards the back. I don't want to really pierce the paracord too early. So here our hook is just starting to come out. So I'm going to separate this tail and make sure this is all back. So this is where a lot of guys tie them on, and you can certainly do that. But I'm just going to melt this one. It's a little quicker, and it kind of gives it a different look as well. I want to make sure the jacket goes up to the hook eye. going to slide this up as far forward as I can get it. And I'm going to heat this up one more time. I got to hold it out of the wind here a little bit. So at the head of that melted in place, that jacketing is not going anywhere. Now this is all left intentionally long here, so I'm going to separate the inner strands from the jacket. I'm going to trim the outer jacket just a little bit short actually of the inner strands, and then kind of blend it together. Kind of gives a different look to the skirt. So this eye is clean, but if it wasn't, you could just use the point of your knife. You could use another hook. Just heat that jacketing up and you'll be able to poke right through there with almost anything. And then that's about the length skirt I like. There's a nice looking jig. So there's multiple ways to do it, but this is the way I prefer. This is how I was taught. So when you melt the end of this, not only is it secure, but it kind of gives it a different color change as well. It glosses a little bit, and it kind of looks like the head of a bug. So I'm kind of digging that style. And you can do this with or without the inner strands. You can change the color. You can really make this your own. And I've used these before, and these do catch fish. We're going to be working on some more of these improvised fishing lures. If you're carrying hooks with you anyway, you might as well learn to use some of the items that you probably already got with you or found trash resources and upgrade your fishing arsenal.